Code. Support Strategist. By Clouds. Man in the Clouds Not Coming Down. On AO3. Chapter 58. Legacy. Hitoshi tried to shake the feeling that he was in trouble as he, Izuku, Mei, Ochako, Present Mike, All Might, and Aizawa all crowded into the space across from Nezu's desk. Izuku was practically vibrating with excitement next to him, and also a hurtled expression in the hall all the way there. Mei was doing the same. Ochako and Mike just looked confused, but that was probably because no one had time to explain to either of them what this meeting was about. Aizawa just looked done with life, and if he didn't know better, Hitoshi would have said that All Might was vaguely terrified. Nezu, on the other hand, looks absolutely delighted. Well, Midoriya, it appears you have discovered yet another state secret, and it's not even the end of the semester yet. I must say I'm impressed. Izuku turned bright red. I wasn't trying to. Nezu smiled a bit wider. That makes it even better. I knew taking you in as a student would be fun. Wait, what secret? Ochako's eyes filled about the room. I can leave if you have to discuss something. Don't bother. Aizawa sighed. Midoriya just figured out one for all. It's a miracle it took him this long. Honestly, considering that he knew about All Might's smaller form before the school even started. Ochako sighed and relieved. Oh, good. That means I can actually ask you guys all the questions now. It was getting really hard to remember that you didn't know. Hitoshi raised his hand. What's one for all? That must be the name of Ochako's secret quirk. Izuku piped up. What are the mechanics of it? Does it make you teleport, or did it just straighten your quirk, which resulted in teleportation? Did you know it would do that? Did you even know about it before it manifested? How did it develop? Is it genetic or artificial? How did... Ochako cut him off with a giggle. All Might gave it to me, so no, it's not genetic. But it did have to be transferred through DNA, which is kind of gross. And we really thought it was going to strengthen my muscles like it did for him, but the quirk just kind of latched onto my quirk instead. So, no, we had absolutely no idea that I was going to start teleporting. Izuku lunged to grab his notebook, and Mei crackled. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Whoa! Tenya yelled as he tripped and fell into the glass for the 17th time. He counted. Sensei laughed as he wheeled up to him. You need to loosen up, Tenya. You keep falling because you're too tense. I'm falling because the ground keeps rolling out from under my feet. Tenya spat, tearing the rollerblades off his feet. This can't possibly be faster than just running. Just calm down. Tensei put his hand on his shoulders. Look, I know you're frustrated, but you can't let your anger get the best of you, okay? Tenya felt the anger rush out of him like a deflating balloon, leaving a familiar sense of dread and guilt in its place. You're right. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Tensei sighed. Of course it'll happen again, Tenya. You can't just repress anger and expect not to blow up. That's what got you into this mess in the first place. Tenya swallowed. I know. Look. Tensei sat up and started rolling away. You have to learn to go with the movement. Tenya, otherwise you're gonna keep slowing yourself down. The problem isn't the rollerblades. It's that you keep acting like nothing is going to move or change. You can't fight your own momentum. You have to go with it. I'm trying, Tenya insisted. But these things are impossible. I can't balance on them. Then don't try to balance, Tensei grinned. Why don't you just, lean into wherever you want to go and stop worrying so much? Stop being so tense and just go with the movement, Tenya groaned. Sure, fine, I'm just gonna fall twice as fast. But fine, let's do it your way. Sensei smiled and gestured for him to continue. Tenya, rolled his eyes as he pulled the rollerblades back on. This isn't going to work. Maybe not, Sensei shrugged, but it's worth a try. Tenya sighed and shakily stood up, holding out his arms on either side. Tensei said he was too tense, that he needed to loosen up. Tenya took a deep breath and tried to relax, focusing himself not to imagine the rollerblades rolling out from underneath him as he started moving. Within seconds, he started to fall again, but instead of freezing up, he tried to go with the movement, whatever that meant. Instead of falling over like he expected to, though he just turned and gained momentum. It felt natural and almost freeing as he sped up faster and faster straight into the ground. He spat out a bit of dirt and glared at Tensei, who was holding his sides and would probably be on the floor laughing if he wasn't stuck on a wheelchair. Stop laughing. Sorry, Tensei gasped. It's kind of my job as your big brother, but how did it feel? Well, before the epic crash and burn. Tenya frowned and looked at the rollerblades. I think you're right. Maybe it's worth a try. Suichi gulped before following Chopper through the misty portal. He didn't know why he was doing this. It seemed completely idiotic, but at the same time, it had to be better than staying here. He'd been in the same stupid town with the same stupid prejudice for so long, and sure, Chopper had been a bit vague on how, but he'd basically said that not only could he help him get out of his dead-end life, he could help him change the world and dissolve all those prejudices that had been holding him back ever since he was a kid. Yeah, it was a little sketchy and was probably the exact opposite of a good idea, but at the end of the day, what did he really have to lose? Friends? He never had any of them. Family? Not the best relationship to begin with. Sanity? Okay, maybe that last one. But he was going to be insane to begin with because how was he stuck with this kid he barely knew in an unfamiliar location and he didn't know the city they were in? Oh, and there was a blind guy hooked to machines like some pre-quirked hero movie. What had he gotten himself into? Hello, Ichuki. The man smiled, which was somehow creepier without eyes. My name is All for One. I'm sure you're wondering what's going on. Tsukichi nodded hesitantly. Yeah, Chopper said you were going to change my life and the world. All for One grinned wider. Exactly. You are familiar with the works of Stain, correct? Tsuchi felt a streak of happiness sprout through him. The hero killer? Yeah, he had such a vision. Getting rid of all those fake heroes. If only he'd been able to complete the mission. I agree. All for One nodded. It's a pity that those heroes did not allow it. Suichi frowned. The heroes? But the news said it was a rival vigilante. Do you really think that the corrupt commission would want society believing any difference? All for One's voice was full of pity. But you seem like a bright young man, Ishuki. You deserve to know the truth. Stain was not killed by a rival. He was killed by one of the fake heroes he swore to destroy. Ishuki gasped. What? A hero killed him, and they just got away with it? Yep, they sure did, Chopper piped up. It's so unfair, isn't it? The heroes get away with everything and get all the support while the rest of us are underestimated and left in the dust? So how do we fix it? Ishuki gritted his teeth. You said you were going to help me change the world. All for One nodded. I'm glad you asked. Before he died, Stain was able to leave behind one final piece of himself. A torch to pass on. If you will, my quirk allows me to take powers from someone and give them to others who can use them better. In his final moments, when Stain knew death was certain, he entrusted me with finding a new holder for his quirk. Someone who was worthy of continuing his legacy. Ishuki felt like he could hardly breathe, as All for One reached out for him. Tsushiki Ishuki, you are worthy. Will you carry on Stain's legacy and vow to take down those fake They call themselves heroes. Yes, Ishuki didn't even have to think about it. It's all I've ever dreamed of. Please, let me change the world. All for One chuckled. No hesitation, just as I expected. Well, come here, and let me give you your gift. It hurt. It felt like every cell in his body was being pulled apart and rearranged at what must be Stain's quirk was forced into him. It felt like an eternity, and Ishuki was fairly certain that he screamed at some point. But a few seconds later, he was on his knees, catching his breath, as Trapper and All for One smiled down at him. How do you feel? Trapper asked excitedly. Powerful. Ishuki nodded. I'm carrying Stain's essence. A part of him is a part of me, his legacy. Exactly, All for One agreed. But now that you are Stain's successor, you can no longer be who you were before. What should we call you? Ishuki took a deep breath, and his expression hardened in determination. Call me Spinner, because I'm the one who's going to spin the web that all the heroes will trap themselves in. All for One grinned again. Well then, Spinner. Welcome to the League of Villains. Oh my god. I just love how, freaking Nezer's like, you have stumbled to yet another state secret. Another, right? The first one was an accident. The second one was also an accident. Hey, maybe the third one, he will purposely be searching for state secrets. Who knows? I just love that tidbit. Smart Izuku is something I've always enjoyed seeing in fanfictions because, as I've mentioned before, I feel like Izuku's smarts is often underused in the My Hero Academia main universe, the main series. So when I see fanfictions holding onto that, I love that. Izuku's smart, he's brilliant, he's smart, he's a smart kid. And I love when that is acknowledged in fanfictions. Like in this one. Ida using rollerblades. I love this. And I love that little training thing, right? I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Ida and his brother. A lot of Izuku. A lot of Mineta now. A lot of Mineta with the League. A lot of Izuku with Mei and Hitoshi, but mainly with Mei. A lot of the Cyborg brothers. The Psy Bros. Psy Bros. A lot of the Trauma Bros. The Trauma Guys. What did I call them last episode? Trauma Guys? Chapter, not episode. Trauma Guys? Trauma Bros? Trauma Bud? Trauma Family? Whatever. A lot of Hitoshi and Ochako. And a lot of Hitoshi in his home life. We have our little ensemble, right? We obviously have the main characters, which is Izuku. Izuku's the main character, with Mei being his supporting character. And then we have a bunch of these others who are like ensembles, but I feel like the story shifted from Izuku being the main character to more of an ensemble type of dynamic, right? Unfortunately, Izuku still stays in the center of this because this is a story about him, but we've switched more into main character Izuku with ensemble, which is very reminiscent of, what's it called? Theater? Or at least a certain, what's it called? Play I did in my high school years. So I'm very interested in seeing how this story develops, and yeah, as always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night, join our community Discord server, link is in the description, subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.